Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody. Super welcome. It's great to have all of you tuning us in and turning us on. I got to say hi to Mr. Benny. Hi, B.
Howdy, Pat.
How you be, B?
Being pretty good.
Yeah, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, another day. Just doing it another day. Bigger, better, happier, more joyful.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Loving it.
I know it.
Mm-hmm.
I know it. Just feeling like I need a little pizza. All of a sudden, I get the urge for some pizza. I haven't had pizza in about a year and a half.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm
you need to jump back on that one.
I'm thinking, maybe, I really should have like the gluten-free pizza.
Okay.
And then I think that's why I haven't had it in a year.
All right, well, let me...
Because...
go ahead, finish.
Yeah.
I was going to toss you a question.
Do you know where to get it?
No, not particularly. I'm still the non-gluten guy. I can still do the original stuff. But my question is, are you the deep dish pan or are you the, large, thin crust gal?
I'll tell you what I am. It doesn't matter whether I'm deep dish or thin crust. The bottom line is when I take that piece of pizza and I put that pizza in my hand and I fold that pizza with the melted cheese all over it, I want the grease coming off of there to run down my wrist.
So
that is the way we do it in New York.
That's the New York style.
Right.
Yeah, it's either Chicago style or New York style. So it sounds like you're still leaning towards your heritage, your roots.
If you are not going to put olive oil on that pizza before you pop that thing in the oven, I'm telling you, yeah. So my message today for everybody out there, this is your next chapter on how to make delicious pizza. Please drizzle that oil on there until you're thinking, oh, yum.
Boom.
I'm telling you, Benny, that's it.
All right.
That's why now I make my own pizza. I'm excited today because we are going to talk about your next chapter. I want everybody to get ready. Get ready for your next chapter. If you just heard the last hour, you heard both Ilona and I talk about things in life that pointed from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4. Those were all visitations to what our next chapter might be. But how do you navigate through life's transitions? And what happens if you don't want to do it the hard way, the way I did it, and go through life and have to get slowed down or have to get, some additional strength and faith through mystery diseases and all of the other stuff? What if you didn't have to do that? Well, then what you would have to do is get a hold of Shelley Ryan, because not only is this the her upcoming new hit show, but it's more than that. It's a way of life. What Shelley does is she helps people all over the world step into what their next chapter is and could be. And so when you hear today, you're going to hear what her own life chapters have meant to her and how she has turned those experiences into helping others with their transitions, whether it's going from job to job, whether it's going to school, whether it's thinking about changing the way you eat things. It doesn't matter. There is a next chapter that happens in front of us on a regular basis. But then the question is, what do we do about it and how do we learn about it? Shelley's created an entire retreat for this, as well as ongoing coaching and how to put it all together. And that's usually very, very difficult for people. So you're going to hear about the upcoming retreat. And it is a field trip, folks. But more importantly, you're going to hear how this amazing individual took her life experiences, where it began for her in Iowa, and why she is today out there certified life coach, now telling us, I am ready. I can help you get ready for your next chapter. Shelley, it's great to have you.
Thanks, Dr. Pat. That was awesome. I kind of did the same thing too. Did a few things the hard way. Yeah. So I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah. What's up with that with us, huh?
I don't know. But I guess we got to go through that in order to get to where we are. So, yep. Yeah. But you're right. I can help people make, kind of circumvent that a bit. Absolutely.
Well, what's interesting is, your early beginnings. Let's talk about that for a minute. I mentioned Iowa. Mine was in the Bronx, New York. But even though they're two very different places, you and I really had a sense of ourselves that certainly doesn't reflect who we are today. Let's talk about those beginnings for you and what some of the challenges, what some of the obstacles have been for you had to overcome to bring you to this very moment right here today.
Yeah, absolutely. That is interesting because growing up in Iowa and growing up in the Bronx seemed to me like they could just be polar opposite. But you're exactly right. we probably had a lot of the same situations. My hometown, I grew up on a farm actually, so it was even smaller than a hometown. But my hometown had about 500 people, no stoplights. I mean, it was small, but it was an amazing way to grow up. I loved growing up on the farm, and I am still a farm girl to this day. And one of the things that I definitely noticed when I was growing up on the farm is that we were all very much the same. We all kind of believed the same thing. We were all, the same ethnicity. We were all kind of the same religion, Christian, I guess. Yeah. We spoke the same language. Our worldview was very, very limited. And I always say that the box that I grew up in was extremely small. It was a good box, but it was really, really small. And so I noticed that I didn't want to try anything new. If I didn't think I knew how to do it, I wouldn't do it. I remember some friends asked me to go bowling, and I had never gone bowling before, and I'm like, nope, I'm not going. Because I didn't feel like I didn't have the courage. I was really a scaredy cat back in those days. So that was one of the first things I think was trying to open up that box just a little bit.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I kind of was the same way. And really? But I shared this the other day. I'm very shy. You would never know it being here. I'm very shy. What I do for a living has been quite a stretch for me, and the degree by which I communicate with people, not just on air. People think that what you and I do on air, that's what we do. But you know that you and I have talked many times even before getting here, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've learned how to really extend beyond myself. I am an introvert. Doesn't seem like it. When I'm done with the radio show or done at the end of my day, you're not going to see me partying.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
And so the idea of a next chapter for me throughout my life has been daunting. Yeah.
Sure.
But still, you and I were both in our own little box. Even though my box may seem to have been bigger, there is a defined calculation of what it means for us to box ourselves in. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter your geographic location. You're right. You could live in the middle of the Bronx and still have a very small box that you're operating from. And I think that's the key, right? Is that our how we view our world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is. So let's talk about this from your perspective. Obviously, there's a reason that you wanted to come out and talk about these next chapter, what it means, right?
Yeah.
Scary transitions, major transitions, where your first job was, how you get out of where you are and take that next step. It's daunting, but you didn't just take a little step.
No, I've taken some big ones. Definitely taken some big ones. I think really interesting, when I first went away to college, that was the biggest step for me. And it probably is the biggest step for a lot of people. I was a first-generation college student, and so going away to college was huge. And I took that on like I took on a lot of things when I was younger. I just sucked it up and did it. That's kind of I don't know if that's the farm girl motto, but you suck it up and do it, right?
Right.
And so I sucked it up and I did it, and I was scared, but I did it anyway. No process, no logic to it. I just did it. And I realized that when I was doing it, I still had no idea really what I was doing, and but I made the best of it. It wasn't until I got my first job, my actual first job after graduate school, that I started to be a little bit more deliberate about taking those next steps. But there was still a lot of suck up and do it in me. And I think that's the farm girl in me.
Yeah, I think, that's what I love talking about. But, out of this, and we're going to talk about this more, not only have you created an amazing coaching platform, but, this idea of next chapter, whether it's next chapter in our dream life, next chapter when we're talking about relationships, yep. That next chapter, then that next chapter, and on and on and on and on. The question is, how do we get through these transitions? How do we go from where we are to hitting that button? Yep, nope, I'm not saying it's the easy button. It could be. It's the next chapter button. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking way, way more here with my friend and colleague, host of an upcoming hit news show, Shelley Ryan. Everybody, we'll be right back.
The Janice Underwood Show, helping you create the life you want, not the life you tolerate. Tune in each Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as Janice delves into the Life Creator System and the next step in your spiritual evolution. Janice Underwood is gifted at helping spiritually minded people shift their mindsets to unleash the creator within. Our souls wish to wake us up. Those of us listening hear the call. Do you? For more information, visit JaniceUnderwood.com.
Conscious Confidence Radio, a timeless wisdom with Sarah Main. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio and join Sarah on an adventurous journey to the deeper level of meaning to move beyond today's world of constant change, confusion, and uncertainty beyond the shadow of fear. This hit show explores key concepts such as confidence, values, and attitude in a dynamic way. To learn more about Sarah and her work, visit sarahmain.com.
Could you swim with sharks? Is fear holding you back from living your life? The time is now to jump in and be courageous. Shelley Ryan has created a retreat to help you move past your fears with confidence. Join her June 30th through July 7th in Mexico. Have some fun, relax. Plus, you'll have the opportunity to be courageous with a whale and shark adventure. For more information, visit yournextchaptercoaching.com.
Do you know how powerful your thoughts and beliefs are in determining your experience of your life? Is it really true that simply by changing some of the words you use in your day-to-day language, that you can change your life? I'm Megan Edge. Join me on Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host Dr. Pat on Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to seeing you there.
To find out more about Megan Edge, visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Practice living in wholeness with the Body Tune-Up. 6 classes for $89 designed for radical self-healing and self-regeneration. Heal the deepest root of any challenge. The mental body was programmed in negativity, not good enough, separate from source. You're too much, you'll never make it. The emotional body holds all the pain and trauma of emotional suppression, all the pain from this life and life's past. The spiritual body is the place you connect with your higher power, your higher self, with the image and likeness of the One. The physical body houses and expresses the other 3 bodies every day. Go to CorneliaStephanie.com. Evolve, become a practitioner. We need to heal, integrate, and bring into wholeness and harmony the physical body, addressing all the other bodies in order to live in our true, authentic nature.
Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I am so excited to be talking with my friend and colleague, Shelley Ryan. And, we're so thrilled to be working with her to launch her fantastic show, as well as, what does it mean to step into your next chapter. Before we go there and we talk about, the dreaded job loss, I want to talk with you a little bit about how folks can find out more about you, how they can schedule a session with you, and then you have various levels of coaching, and then you also are doing like a really cool retreat. So tell us how we get info on all of that.
Sure, absolutely. So my website is yournextchaptercoaching.com, yournextchaptercoaching.com. And I have on several of the pages on my website an opportunity to schedule a complimentary 30-minute strategy session to kind of assess where you're at and what it is that you would like to do. Like, what is your next chapter? What are you looking for as far as your next chapter? You can also call me at 602-617-8351, 602-617-8351. And I still have a couple of spots left for my retreat, so we'll talk. I think we're going to talk more about that later, right?
Anytime.
Okay, I'll cover that a little bit later, but definitely reach out. My email address is Shelly@yournextchaptercoaching.com, Shelly, Shelly, @yournextchaptercoaching.com. Would love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of cool. Let's just get right into it, because there is no mincing of the words when we're talking about losing your job. And I want to say to folks, that are going to email me about using words like loss and failure, but the real deal is the real deal. When you're working for a company, whatever long you're working for that company, and then you're not, like you're going to hear Shelly's story. My case, it was 24 and a half years, 6 months before a full pension. Something happens and it affects you emotionally, spiritually, physically. The question is, what are you going to do so that it doesn't become a thing? All right.
Yeah,
job
absolutely.
Loss, Shelly. That
my
job
gosh.
loss thing.
It was horrible. So I had several jobs after graduate school, one in New York, one in Ohio, and then I got this job in Minnesota. And this job was my dream job at the time. It was working with kids, low-income kids who are 4th, 5th, and 6th grade to help them start planning for college. And it was kind of this culmination of all of my work that I had done previously. And I was so passionate about this work. It was the kind of job that I always said that if I wasn't getting paid, I would do it anyway. And it was amazing. And I worked there for about 5 years. I had gotten all kinds of awards and was doing great things. And suddenly I got fired. And I have to tell you, it was like a death to me. I was so focused on this job, and I loved it. I loved all the people that I worked with. I loved what we built. And it was like a death. It was such an amazing loss. And as you mentioned, the emotional, spiritual, and physical aspects to it, it was starting to become a thing. It was definitely starting to become a thing. And that's when I think I started to do all of this exploration of living my life deliberately. I don't know if you've heard this quote. It's a Jim Rohn quote, but he says, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much.
Yeah, boy.
Yep. And up until this point, I was following other people's plans. My professor, my advisor in college said, hey, Shelly, you should go into clinical psychology. Okay. I worked in the president's office where I went to graduate school, and the president said, hey, Shelly, I think you'd be really good in college admissions. Okay. So I kept kind of following, what people would tell me without any deep exploration of, myself. And so this getting fired took me through this grieving process. And unfortunately, I did not recognize it quite yet. And I got right back on the horse because, still a farm girl. And I got this temporary job in Washington, D.C. And so I went into this fully unaware, right? And still wasn't fully processing things. But, man, it was tough. It was tough. And yours, too, you said 26 years. It's a rough road.
Actually, it was 24 and a half years because the magic number for me was 25.
Oh.
But, you know, I didn't know what was going on, but I was not meant to stay there. I can look back now.
Yep.
I was not meant to stay there. But in the end, that didn't make it less emotional.
No, absolutely. And I think the thing for me, too, because this is one of my approaches that I use now for absolutely everything, is I look for the lesson. What was the lesson and what was the good in this? And for me, that particular getting fired, what that took me away from was my lack of work-life balance. I worked all the time. I took work home. I worked the weekends. I worked all the time. And that needed to stop. It had to stop. If it didn't stop from getting fired, it would have stopped from some kind of a health situation, right? So that, when I can look back at it objectively, you know, after some of that emotion went away, that was my big lesson, is that I needed to stop that workaholic kind of syndrome, just really wanting to get my accolades from my job, and I needed to stop it, and it got stopped for me.
Well, you know, part of this and looking at this and moving forward, people want to know, how did these two get from what they're talking about here with the job loss, with this, with moving these lives? How do we get from there to where we are today? But there's a reason why you and I are here now, and we're looking at talking about next chapter and how to create now the dream. Let's talk about what it looks like. What does it feel like? What happens when we say next and we do create, for example, the dream job and really create it?
Yeah.
What was your turning point, tipping point?
It was the next job that I went into. It was a 6-month temporary position in Washington, D.C., and it ended up being a 6-year job. It was one that, and I say job because it was really a job. It wasn't a passion. It wasn't anything. There was not a lot of dream about it. It was a job. I loved the organization. I loved the people I worked with, but it was not my job. And that was my turning point. I did not want to be miserable. I got this certificate about 6 years into the job. I got this certificate that was like an award that says you've worked for the federal government for 5 years. Congratulations. And that was like a smack in the face. I'm like, whoa, 6 years I've been doing something that I really didn't like. And I felt like I was on this hamster wheel that I couldn't get off. Like as soon as everything would start to get super, super busy, I'd get back into that busy thing. Yeah. And I didn't bring work home, and I didn't work on the weekends all the time, but I got back into that really busy cycle. And then when it started to get slow, I was so exhausted that I needed to sleep. And then the hamster wheel would start back up again with the busy cycle. And I just finally said it was a decision. And that's one of the things that I will say. It's a decision. When you make that decision, you can start to make some change, right? You can start to see some change. And I made the decision that I wasn't going to do it anymore. And I quit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it.
Imagine how that went.
Well, but part of this is honestly taking a look and saying, this is the life that I really want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want this life. I want to be able to experience life in the way that we were just talking with Ilona Selke, whose book is now Dream Big, The Universe is Listening. Mm-hmm. And yet, you know, what you're talking about is helping people at some very practical, pivotal points in their lives. And that is the point where sometimes you just don't know how life is going to show up.
Right.
And yet what you've discovered is how to help people get through it, right?
Absolutely. And I think I love that sentence that you just said, this is the life that I really want. At this stage of the game, I was not looking that way. I was looking at this is the life I don't want. And sometimes that's your motivator, right? Is I don't want to live this way anymore. And since that time, that's how my whole world has opened up to this is the life that I really want. And how do I move forward to get this life that I really want and stop living that life that I don't want.
Well, this is really part of, a bigger conversation, because once we get past the job, once we get past like tapping into what our soul's calling us to do, what is that one thing that just makes everybody start to shake? When you tackle the new job, when you tackle moving from one coast to the other, when you even tackle the notion of buying a new car, what is that one thing that we're even watching The Bachelorette right now quiver about? What happens? What happens when we talk about the love boat? Let's take a short break, everybody. I'm talking about your own love boat. We'll be right back, and we're going to take that on. Is opening your heart to love one of the hardest things to do, especially after having it shut tight and become crust-busted over? We'll be right back with the show, everybody.
A word of caution: if you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy in paperback or ebook, visit thetruthisfunny.com today.
Have you ever wondered if there's a way to heal the deep, hidden inner issues, wounds, beliefs, and traumas? The journey into spiritual healing engages people in all areas of their lives to heal themselves and others. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as Dr. Jaffe brings conversations of healing of body, mind, and spirit as he merges the excellence of traditional medicine with the beauty of spiritual healing. For more information about Dr. Jaffe, this show, and his work, visit drjaffemd.com.
Tune in to Knowledge Book Radio with host Marge Potasic each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Through many experiences, Marge was led to the Knowledge Book, a gift to humanity in its transition to the Golden Age, and it provided the truth and the answers. She now shares information from the Knowledge Book with you each week on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net.
Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Are you ready to make deep, lasting, transformative changes? Then tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio for Susanna Jameson's hit show, Love, Light, Sound Radio. During her show, Susanna inspires and supports spiritually and health-conscious individuals all over the world to reconnect with their hearts, their inner peace, and balance. Love, Light, Sound Radio. Transformation happens here now. For more information, visit SusannaJameson.com.
Are you looking to grow spiritually, expand your consciousness, increase psychic abilities? Well, there's a free app for that. Pure Light offers audios that transmit high spiritual frequencies to help you awaken to your full potential. Hundreds of audios created by some of the world's top energy healers, and many are free. Enjoy the latest in conscious technology and download Pure Light today. To find out more, visit purelightaudio.com.
You know what I want to hear right after that, Benny? It's that sound effect. It's like the scratch sound when you come across a record.
Oh.
You know that like,
yeah,
like that, like, yeah, because that's what we're talking about today, right? I'm sorry. I know it's a little warped, right? Sometimes I have this really warped sense.
I get it. I like how you did that. Record, it's warped, like, warped records, hot in the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, right across the vinyl right there to say, yeah. How do we patch that up? But before we go ahead and talk about that with my very special guest today, a couple of things I want to do, Shelley, is one, how do folks find out more about your next chapter coaching? And then let's talk about a little bit about your retreat, and then the special offer you have for coaching just for our listeners today.
Sure. Again, my website is yournextchaptercoaching.com, yournextchaptercoaching.com, and my number where you can call me is 602-617-8351, or you can email me at Shelley@yournextchaptercoaching.com. The retreat that's coming up is my favorite retreat. I've been doing some destination retreats in Phoenix, Arizona, where I live for many years. And last year was my first year taking it internationally. And this retreat is called the Scaredy Cat Retreat. And it's for folks that are really trying to push through their fear and not let it stop them from moving into whatever their next chapter is. It's going to be on June 30th to July 7th. It's 7 nights, 8 days in Isla Mujeres, Mexico, which is an island off of Cancun. And it is amazing. It is, oh my gosh, it's such an amazing adventure. There's a lot of fears that go into traveling. There's fears that going into a country where you don't know the language. We have to take some public transportation or some kind of transportation to get to a ferry, and then the ferry takes us to the island. There's fear in that. We're going to talk about all of that. In addition, we'll be practicing yoga every day. We'll be meditating on the beach, which is amazing. We're staying at a beautiful bed and breakfast that my friend that I used to work with in Minnesota now owns. And we get authentic Mexican meals in the morning and the best margaritas on the island in the evening, which is fabulous. But the best part is that we're going to take a couple of excursions. And one is a snorkeling excursion where we get to see, I believe it's the largest underwater museum in the world. And that's a couple of hours of snorkeling and seeing those amazing underwater fish and just the beautiful blue Caribbean Sea. And then we're going to do almost a full day excursion where we are going to take a boat and go out about 15 miles offshore. And we are going to jump off of the boat into the ocean and swim with these ginormous whale sharks. It is the coolest thing I have ever done in my entire life.
Wow.
It is amazing. And one of the other things about that and why I got the idea for this retreat is the first time I went out there, I was too scared to jump off the boat. I didn't do it. I couldn't jump off the boat. And part of it was was seasickness. There was that contributing factor, but I was way too scared. And I, again, made a decision that when I come back here next time, I am jumping off that boat. And I used some of the methodologies that I have designed for my clients. I used some of that. Certainly the meditation and the mindfulness and the deep breathing definitely came into play. But I used that, and the next time I went, I was the first person off the boat.
Wow.
And even though the view was super cool from the boat and watching those ginormous whale sharks float by was really cool from the boat, it was 1,000 times better once you're in the water. 1,000 times better. So
well, part of this is let's talk about the degree by which we mean next chapter. Mm-hmm. Okay. So one of the things that I've learned since talking with you and working with you is a lot of times we look at a next chapter and we think it has to be ginormous. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't. And, what we're talking about is treating ourselves to an adventure or treating ourselves to a new learning or treating ourselves to, something that is in the realm of self-care. Or it could be as big as I'm opening up my heart after I have felt it crushed. I have felt betrayed. I don't think very much of myself. I could go on. I could be the Bachelorette and just be thinking, what was she thinking? But all of that has to do with how we go about moving beyond whatever the wound is. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I jumped off the hamster wheel of that job, I took about 6 months off and got really still and was quiet and rested. And when I got still, I was able to hear that still small voice of what it is that I was going to do next. What was my next chapter going to be? And that's when I decided to become a life coach. And I went through my life coach training and then subsequent workshops and other trainings. And I went through all of these because I was trying to figure out a way to improve my business. And I thought, gosh, surely if I go to this one, I'm going to figure out how to improve my business or make things grow. But every single event that I went to, every single workshop, every single training, I kept hearing the same message over and over. It was about love. It was about my heart. It was about opening my heart. And I couldn't figure out, why am I still hearing this? Like, I'm a nice person and I have great friends and I can, I talk to my family. Like, what on earth? Why do I keep hearing this? But because it kept coming up every single time, I'm like, whoa, I got to start paying attention. And as I started paying attention, I noticed how closed my heart really was. I was in my head about everything. I didn't know how I didn't know how to open my heart deeply. And it was that piece that was the secret sauce for how I was going to grow my business, right? It was opening my heart and allowing that happiness into my own heart. And I think, how I actually started to do this is, for me, I've been single my whole life, right? And I've, maybe a couple of relationships here and there. The longest relationship I ever had was my high school boyfriend, and that was like 1.5 years. So I was not one of those monogamous or relationship, or, going from one relationship to the next kind of a person. I was single for many, many years in between every time I would date somebody. And all of those heartaches, and they started even when I was a kid, but all of those heartbreaks put another layer over my heart. All of the disappointments, all of the crap that happened put another layer on my heart, until the point that my heart was so closed that I didn't even think I didn't think I wanted to be married. I didn't think I wanted to have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to mess up my schedule. I didn't want anybody to, mess up my day. And it was really, really harsh. And I don't think I didn't notice it. It's one of those things that I wasn't paying attention to and I didn't notice it. So one of the workshops that I went to, they talked about, where are you sitting on the sidelines? Where are you in the bleachers? And where do you really want to play? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to actually play and be on the court and play full out? We're in the basketball playoffs. Where do you want to be? And the thing that popped into my head was dating. I was so far into the bleachers. I was in the top level of the nosebleed stand, right? I was very good at offering advice to other people about their dating lives and what they should be doing. But unless I was going to date the UPS guy, it wasn't going to happen because I wasn't putting myself out there.
Right.
I wasn't noticing or putting myself out there at all. So that was one of my first big action steps, was to actually put myself out there and start dating.
And I love this idea. Let's talk about this. I love the notion of putting myself out there, because when I think about a next chapter, we can't just do it sitting on the couch in our own minds.
We cannot.
And I want to ask you, what have you learned? What is what is your first kind of recommendation to get things going?
Yeah, and can I talk specifically about opening your heart and the love piece? Is that okay to talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think the very first thing is to figure out what's stopping you from, to think about what's stopping you from meeting people, because you're going to have to meet people. But even before that is to be open to meet people. I was sitting in a restaurant in New York City with a good friend of mine and colleague, and we were having a great conversation. And she's like, Shelley, you and I talk every day. Do you recognize all of these people that are around you? Like, do you even see them? And I didn't. And that was another realization, another aha moment for me about how closed I was. I didn't even see that there were available men around me. So are you even open to the possibility of love? Or have you closed yourself off so much that it's not even an option for you? So the first thing is to kind of open yourself up, even just a little bit. then I would say figure out what strategy is going to work best for you as far as meeting people. Is it going to a meetup where it's kind of, safe? You're just going because you have a common interest. I don't know if you've ever gone on to meetup.com, but they have a meetup for anything. Everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Find something that you have a common interest around.
Yeah. Believe me, I do so much volunteer work. I can tell you now, I don't have a problem meeting people. I have a problem figuring out after I meet all these people, using a little discernment along the way. Okay.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that was the other thing, too, is to kind of get clear about what it is that you want and what you're looking for, because that fits right into the discernment, right? So if you know what it is that you're looking for, you know very clearly if that person is not it. So your must-haves and that was to tell you how far away I was to dating. It took me 3 years to finish the profile for eHarmony. So
yeah.
I was very far away from doing it, but they do ask, must-haves and can't stands, and that was a good tool for kind of figuring out, okay, I have to have these 3 things in a guy, and these 3 things if I can't have these, right? So really looking at your values, and then the other thing is that besides figuring out what strategy works for you for getting out and meeting people, then allowing yourself to let them in. You don't have to let them in, like you said, the discernment. Don't let them in right away, but allowing when they've earned it, when you've given them enough, when they've earned the trust of your heart, allow your heart to open up a little bit more and a little bit more, and let them come in. I had one really cool experience with this guy. I'm still in Iowa Farm Girl, so I'm not really wide open emotionally, but I met this guy who was wide open emotionally, and he pushed past so many of my barriers. It was really, really cool. And then once I got through him pushing past my barriers, then I met my husband at 53.
What do you make of that?
Well, I think I had to get my heart. This other guy really, and I even though the situation wasn't the greatest situation, I give him so much credit and so much love for really busting into my heart and opening it up, because that's what allowed me to meet the guy who is now my husband. And he earned his way into my heart. His behaviors and the things that he did allowed me to trust him, because trust was a big issue for me.
Wow.
And then what was really cool about that, too, is that at the same time, I opened up my heart to my dad, and my dad and I's relationship became much stronger. I owe it all to opening up my heart.
Well, I mean, all of the above is part of all of the above. We're going to take a short break, Benny. When we come back, we're going to talk about this thing, all. Why it is we negotiate our birthright. Why it is we start negotiating whether or not we can truly have it all. Because if we do that, then are we believing that the universe is a cosmic jokester? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Healing has a ripple effect. One person's healing affects everyone around them. This is where the power of sharing our stories can be so important. Tune in to Playing on the Edge Radio with Megan Edge each month on Transformation Talk Radio, as Megan provides you with ways of sustaining radical and powerful changes in your life. Enact the power of radical change. To find out more about Megan Edge, visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Tune in to E3 Influence Radio. Own your impact. Master your world. In this new hit show, Sarah Luce, empowerment coach and spiritual mentor, teaches us how to achieve our greatest potential to positively affect everything and everyone. The time is now to enlighten our minds, empower our hearts, and take energized action to raise the consciousness of our planet. Sarah shows us how with simple, easy-to-implement steps. To find out more about Sarah Luce and her E3 Influence program, visit sarahluce.com.
Dream on, fly high, and live adventurously on The Laura Meeks Show. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as host Laura Meeks guides you in finding your unique gifts and bringing them to life. As a certified life coach, speaker, and veteran bomber pilot for the U.S. Air Force, Laura knows how to follow a dream. She is ready to support you so you can dream on, fly high, and live adventurously. For more information on Laura and her work, visit flyhighliving.com.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit KarenBenton.com.
Yeah. You know, the other day I was listening to my iPod and I heard a really old school song, and it really brought me back to a time and an era that you can almost forget about sometimes. It's like a blur. But the question is whether or not we can actually move beyond incidences and things in our life that have affected us at a very, very cellular level. That's why we have Shelley Ryan. That's why the work that she does, Your Next Chapter, is so important in helping us get ready for it, anticipate it, create dreams about it, hold a vision and a vibration for manifesting it. And this is done in many ways. Shelley, thank you for joining me here today. Before we jump ahead, I know you have a giveaway. I know you have some things you want to share. And then we're going to tap into Can We Reel It, Have It All?
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pat. I would love to give away one 3-session coaching package for one of the listeners. So it's 3 60-minute coaching sessions. And I will use my coaching method. It's called the Accra method, which is, interestingly enough, where my husband is from. But I will use that Accra method to take you through discovering what your next chapter is and how to move forward and move towards it. Yep. So I'm looking forward to giving that away to one of our listeners.
1-800-930-2819. First caller. That's the way we're going to do it. 1-800-930-2819. And that is, one more time, tell folks what they're going to get, please.
Yeah, they're going to get 3 60-minute coaching sessions with me. And I'll take them through my Accra method, which is the strategy that I use to help people get really clear about what it is that their next chapter is going to be, make a commitment to whatever it is, and then move forward with an action plan to start making it happen.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so very much for all of that. Let's talk about something that I believe is one of the most important conversations that we can have. And that conversation has to do with the notion of whether or not we can believe we can have it all or not. Now, I know we only have a few minutes to kind of get into it, but the point is your show really does address this in a much bigger way. So the short answer, can we have it all?
The short answer is yes, absolutely. And I don't think I believed that. Certainly didn't believe that when I was growing up, and I didn't necessarily believe it until I started exploring my life a little bit more. But I'm living my life with no regrets, and I'm living it fully. I used to kind of have 3 buckets. I had relationships, I had career, and I had health. And if I had my relationships going, then my career was in the tank. Or if I had my health moving, I had no relationship. And I am to the point where I believe through going through these processes myself that I can have it all. I have my own creative, flexible, growing business. I've gotten really clear about the tribe that I'm serving. I'm starting my own radio show. Now, this has been a dream of mine for almost 25 years. This is something I talked about 25 years ago, having a radio show, and here it is. I'm happily married, which anybody who knows me knows that that's a shocker. And I am getting my health back on track, and I will be getting back into some of those size 6 outfits that I purchased a few years ago. So I can have it all. I do believe that I can have it all.
And, part of this today was introducing people to the notion of their next chapter and introducing them to the idea of what is possible and moving beyond our limitations, moving beyond what we think we can or cannot have in this world. And the notion of focusing on a next chapter is important because it also implies that we don't have to settle. And I think that's so important, is really looking at, this energy of settling because we don't know how to get from here to there, from where we are to where we want to go.
Mm-hmm. True. That is so true. And that we can have that big life. We really can have that big life.
So 1 last minute left. Give out your website again. And one last question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Yeah, so my website again is www.yournextchaptercoaching.com. And my personal message is that we all have another chapter. And I know things from my own experience that things have stopped us and we felt stuck and we felt like we couldn't get it. And I would love to be able to help you make whatever transition that you're looking towards, to make it easier for you, to help you find it and to do it. And my personal strategy is, next.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so very much. And everybody go to yournextchaptercoaching.com. Check it out. There's also a free download there. All of the above. Thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. And stay tuned for another hour coming up on TransformationTalkRadio.com. We'll see you next time.
Preceding audio was via a Skype call.